WHIP, Philly's #1 college radio station.
We're back here, main event, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Eagles get set to go to Tampa Bay this Sunday to face the Bucs, who are looking for their first win of the season. Eagles tied for first place in the NFC East. Let's go out to the hotline right now and welcome in TJ Rives, who's the Tampa Bay Bucs sideline reporter and a national host on Fox Sports Radio. TJ, it's your buddy Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. Thanks a million. How are you?
What's going on in Philadelphia, guys?
It's a rainy day, a lot of flu shots going on, as we both got our flu shots yesterday, but we're feeling good.
You don't want me to tell you that it's 85 degrees and not a cloud in the sky in Tampa, St. Pete. You don't want me to tell you
Don't do that to us.
Well, my favorite part about people from Florida, and I know a few talk show hosts down there, one being Sid Rosenberg, and whenever it's 55 degrees, I'm usually in a short and a T-shirt. When it's 55 degrees down there in Florida, you guys are in North Faces and jeans. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and anything under 40 degrees, you're hiding the plants and the pets and everything else because it's the coming ice age. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the reason why all of you Philly people come down here for spring break. It's for weather like this. It's beautiful. It's supposed to be beautiful, by the way, all the way through the weekend, including the 1 o'clock kickoff Sunday where it's going to be around 87, 88 degrees. Not much humidity, so the Eagles may get a little break there on that one, because the humidity tends to wear on the opponents, especially in the second half. So there's a little weather forecast. I know you want to talk some X's and O's, though.
You're making me jealous just thinking about it. Before we get to Eagles and Bucs, let's spend a few minutes on the MLB. Tampa Bay's out. Boston goes to the ALCS. They'll be awaiting tonight's result between Detroit and Oakland. It's the rookie going up against the very experienced pitcher in Justin Verlander. How do you see tonight casting out there?
Well, interesting. I mean, you're going to bring up the bad memories now of the Rays getting eliminated. I was in the house for the 2 games against the Red Sox, and you got to give Boston a lot of credit. And you're right; they sit back now to watch Oakland and Detroit, 1-game winner take all. And Verlander, guys, I have gotten the privilege of doing some national baseball play-by-play this season, and I did a Rays-Tigers game where they beat Justin Verlander, and he is not the same in terms of velocity for the entire game. He's not the same at being able to take a lead into the 7th or 8th inning. So even if he's cooking, going well tonight, stay tuned, because unless the Tigers are up 4 or 5 runs, Verlander's not going to more than likely last 8, 9 innings tonight. They're going to have to go to that bullpen. And you got Oakland at home, and maybe this is their magical time. Of course, Detroit knocked them out a year ago, so it's a revenge situation on that. I will take the A's to surprise the Tigers, win Game 5, and play the Red Sox. How about that?
TJ, it's Chase Sr. Thanks for hopping on with us. Moving over to the NL, you have the Cardinals and the Dodgers. To me, it's fascinating how year in and year out the Cardinals always seem to be in the thick of things. The way they build that organization is just fantastic. It's 2 really solid pitching staffs against 2 really good lineups. How do you see things playing out with that series?
I'm not an LA guy. You mentioned I do a lot of stuff with Fox Sports Radio, and of course the Dodgers flagship is 570 out in Los Angeles, Fox Sports LA, and they've had a magical turnaround this year and have such a potent lineup. I know St. Louis has been so good in the postseason over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, really going back to the 06 championship. But I like the Dodgers in that series. 7-game series. They have the home field advantage with that potent lineup. You're going to see Clayton Kershaw probably in Game 2. Depending on what they do, you're going to see him at least a couple of times probably in the series. So I like the Dodgers to win that thing probably in 5 games or less. They're that good offensively.
TJ Rives joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Main event, Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you. And TJ, let's get to the big matchup on Sunday. And this was a Tampa Bay team that has been very disappointing to start out the year. Josh Freeman's now in Minnesota. We all know everything that happened with him, but in your opinion, you're on with that team on a day in and day out basis. Why didn't he work out in Tampa Bay?
Well, we don't. I don't know that we have enough time in your show. Your show is what, an hour, 2
Yeah.
hours? I don't know that we have enough time to go through all of it. The bottom line is he was not getting the results that the head coach and the organization wanted, and they elected to make the change. And you got to get used to this, I guess, in pro sports. You guys a few years ago had to get used to seeing Donovan McNabb running around first in Redskin colors and then in Viking colors. Ironically, now as we're talking about Minnesota. By the way, McNabb wore 5 in Minnesota purple, and Josh Freeman's going to wear 5
How about
in Minnesota purple. see that. And you know, as somebody that got to know him over the course of the last 5 years, I know he wanted to win. I know he wanted it to work out here. It obviously did not work out here, so the Bucs have moved on, and it'll be very interesting to see, you know, if he succeeds in Minnesota, and if the Buccaneers start succeeding this week with the Eagles and beyond with Mike Glennon, the rookie quarterback, who's now had a couple of weeks to practice with the first team since the loss to Arizona and the bye week. And we'll see what the Buccaneer offense looks like with the rookie from NC State. He's a big dude. I mean, we may have the tallest starting quarterback NFL matchup in the NFL this weekend with 6'7" Mike Glennon, and Foles goes a good 6'5", 6'6", right? So this may be the tallest starting quarterback matchup in the National Football League Sunday.
So Nick Foles will be the starter this week. No Michael Vick. I saw McCoy wasn't too happy about that with some of his funny remarks yesterday. But Nick Foles, he had a few nice passes. He's that big pocket passing quarterback. What's the impression down there in Tampa on one Nick Foles?
Well, the interesting thing is he won the game at the end of last season against Tampa Bay with Andy Reid and that coaching staff on the losing streak and on their way out the door. He played exceptionally well, especially in the fourth quarter. And I thought you referenced Gerald McCoy, the Buccaneers all-pro defensive tackle. I did a radio show with him last night, and his line was he's disappointed that he doesn't get to play against Michael Vick because he grew up watching Michael Vick in college and in high school even, and didn't get to play Vick last year because of the concussion and doesn't get to play him this go-around either. But Gerald even said Nick Foles is dangerous. Nick Foles can extend the play with his feet, uses the rollout pretty well, not as mobile as Michael Vick, but he definitely presents some problems for the Buccaneer defense. So it'll be a fascinating matchup. And again, you know, Gerald went on to say this, and this is obvious. It's a totally different offense this go around. He even said last night on the radio show, guys, that they have not even really looked at the tape of the game a year ago in December because it's a totally different offense, and you're not going to see the same things out of what Chip Kelly's calling with plays that you saw on a game tape from December 2012 with the Eagles.
Going to Nick Foles' number one target, Deshaun Jackson, gave a couple of quotes to the Philadelphia media, and one of those was that he's faster than Darrelle Rives and he can't keep up with him. Obviously, the quote was extended a lot longer than that, and I think some people are blowing that out of context. But what has Darrelle Rives' reaction been to Deshaun Jackson's comments and the rest of the team?
Very interesting one-liner from Darrelle, and by the way, I get the chance to host his radio show tonight, and so we'll talk about those comments from Deshaun Jackson tonight, kind of in the back and forth. Darrelle's line yesterday to the media here in Tampa Bay was, this is not the Olympics. It's not going to be a 100-meter or 200-meter dash. This is football, and look, I mean, that's going to be a fascinating matchup. I mean, you have to believe that the Eagles want to try to throw the ball down the field to Deshaun Jackson. He is a weapon, and the Buccaneers are. I mean, his best friend Sunday, the guy that will probably pick him up from the time that he leaves the bus, if not the bus in the locker room, is going to be Rives Island. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. And again, for Darrelle Rives, he is trying to get back to full physical health. He even said on Wednesday he still does not feel 100% yet from the ACL surgery recovery from a year ago, and he's even played in 4 games this year. He's still got trying to get his conditioning fully back, and we'll see. This may be the best that he's been physically, though, as we get ready for this Week 5 game off the bye week. So that's a great matchup, Rives and Deshaun.
And I'm a Pats fan, so I know how good Darrelle Rives can be. He's an exceptional player. But there was a little bit of an issue between him and Schiano. That was getting some national play. Has that died down ever since Rives came out and said there's no beef with him and the head coach?
Well, and he diffused that right away and said it did not come from me. It was the New York media that was stirring it up after the first couple of games of the season. And, yeah, I think that everything is fine between those two. And look, they brought this guy here. They understood in making this trade what it meant, and it meant you want to win right now. And that's what we come back to, guys, is this team hasn't won a game yet, and so all of the stuff off the field, whether it be with Freeman or about the tactics that Greg Schiano uses or veteran players getting used to him, all of that gets stirred up even more, heightened, because you haven't won a football game. So how do you cure that? Go win a game. Go win several games so that the narrative changes and we start talking about something besides all of the off-the-field stuff that has really dominated the conversation the last 2 or 3 weeks because they haven't won.
Last year, Doug Martin grabbed a lot of headlines with his performance, ran for just under 1,500 yards. This year, he struggled a little bit coming out of the gate. What has been the big reason for his struggle so far?
Well, I think two things. The first thing is they have not been able to find running lanes for him in the first 4 games of the season like what we saw a year ago. And this is a guy that's explosive, but he's got to have room to run. I mean, at times in that Arizona game, there were 4 or 5 bodies that were in the way, and he's not going to have that. He's not going to have success. Neither is anybody else if you don't have lanes to run in. And again, they've got a rookie quarterback that they've gone to. It's going to be his second game. It's going to be incumbent on him to move the chains and make throws and open up the line of scrimmage for Doug Martin. But look, this guy is spectacular. He has got the capability of being a big play threat, either running it or catching it, and they've got to get him going. I mean, if you're talking about having long-term success, it has got to revolve around Doug Martin having success, not just in the run game, but throw it to him some and let him create and make some plays. And I expect that to be a big part of this game plan against the Eagles.
I know you mentioned the Olympics and Rives' comment. Let's get to Jeff Demps. I saw Schiano said that he wants to utilize him more on the offense. He comes over from New England in the LeGarrette Blount trade. What have you seen so far out of Demps?
Well, he did play in the Arizona game, and they got the football to him a couple of times. They got him a handoff for a long gain of about 15 yards. They threw it to him. He also was used on kick returns. He made a poor decision, by his own admission, late in the game and brought a kickoff back from 9 yards deep in the end zone and got clobbered at the 10-yard line. And it backed them up in their own territory. They eventually turned the ball over, gave away the tying touchdown because of it. So, this is a guy that hasn't played football, though, guys, in a couple of years because he ran track in the Olympics and was running at the World Championships this summer and only reported to the Buccaneers after those World Championships were over with in August. But I suspect you will probably see him. I don't know this. I'm not privy to the game plan, but you'll probably see him on the field 10 plays or more on the offensive side of the ball because one of the things that has to happen is he has to be on the field some when he's not getting the ball. Because we're all smart guys, right, and gals. Because if he's only on the field if he's getting the ball, then what's the clue when he comes on the field? He's going to get the ball handed to him or thrown to him. So I suspect he'll be on the field probably 10 plays, maybe more, maybe 15 plays, and a lot of the times he might be a decoy or just one of the options.
When you look at the Buccaneers receiving corps, they obviously have some talent when Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams. How have they responded to Mike Glennon moving under center?
Again,
I know it's a
health.
Short sample size, but
right, veteran health. That's what you need, and they both played in that game a couple of weeks ago. And Mike Williams had some success, including a couple of key third downs and the touchdown in the game. But you just hit on the best friends now for Mike Glennon in this game. That is the 2 veteran receivers, and Vincent Jackson went to the Pro Bowl last year, and he's battling through a rib injury suffered in that Patriots game back now 3 weeks ago. And they hope to have him at full health in this game. But that's a big matchup for the Eagles. Vincent Jackson's a big physical receiver, and Mike Williams is no slouch as a number 2 receiver, explosive. So let's see. And Glennon has the capability with a huge arm, a lot like Foles, to find them down the field. That's going to be one of the keys too, is their vertical passing game for the Bucs.
TJ Rives, final one here on the way out before we let you run. With inside your own division, the team that's been really disappointing this year has been the Atlanta Falcons. I thought they were going to be Super Bowl bound this year. They lose Julio Jones for the year. Roddy White could be out this week. Tony Gonzalez, he comes back, and he's having a sensational season, but that team's just not producing. Have you been able to pinpoint why specifically Atlanta hasn't been able to regain that playoff look that they had from a year ago?
Well, they got a couple of big issues. One of them, Steven Jackson, getting hurt early on in the year, and their receivers have been banged up. I mean, Julio Jones has been playing with an injured foot, and he finally now is going to be out for the season. Roddy White has also been injured. And the Falcons' defense over the course of the last couple of years has been declining, and it is still the case for this season. And, oh, by the way, the Falcons are on the bye week this weekend, and after the Bucs play the Eagles, Bucs going to Atlanta for the first of the 2 matchups. And who'd have thunk, you talk about the NFC South, who'd have thunk that we'd be talking on October the 10th that the New Orleans Saints have a 4-game lead in the division. The 5-0 Saints lead everybody by 4 games in the NFC South. I don't know what the math is, but if that keeps up, they may clinch by Halloween at this rate. So We'll see. But, yeah, Bucs-Falcons will be next week, and somebody's got to get well in that game. If you're the Buccaneers, you want to win this game. You want to go to Atlanta and basically put Atlanta away. And then the Tony Gonzalez trade talks will really heat up, and then move on with the rest of your season. That's your goal.
TJ, this was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, and let's talk to you again real soon.
Guys, good to be with you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
TJ Rives right there on the hotline. Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sideline reporter, as well as a national sports radio host on Fox. We got to take a quick time out here on the main event, and when we get back, the all-time leading scorer in the history of Temple University for the Football Owls, Brandon McManus, will join us next.